Hey guys, welcome to the WeddingPros podcast. So glad you guys could join us today. We are at the Roxy Hotel in wonderful New York City. We're hanging out with some of our friends here and just doing some podcasts. How you doing, Jared?
I'm good, Jay. How about you?
Doing awesome. I had a really fun night with our wives last night, hanging out.
Yep.
We went and got some pie.
Some pie. We got some good. What was that place? That was like a.
Honestly, I want to rep the guy, and I can't remember the name of their business for the life. I want to say it's Petey's Pie.
It was Macau.
Petey's
Pie. Yeah.
Petey's Pie, Macau Trading. So we hung out, had some good food, which is what you should do when you go to New York.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, honestly, we went down to New York for the food, and we're podcasting along the way. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest. So anyway, what are we doing today?
Yeah. So today we're in New York. We have a very special guest in the house. Chellise from Chellise Michael Photography is with us. Make sure you're checking her out on Instagram. And we're really excited to have you on the show, Chellise. Thanks for joining us.
Well, I'm so thrilled to be here, fellas.
Yeah, this is fun. And thank you for coming on so last minute. We were like, well, let's do this trip. We have an availability. Let's kind of make it happen. And you came in the clutch. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll be here.
Chellise and I had met at Workshop, which was a workshop in Brooklyn. They did it for 3 years. I think it was 16, 17, 18. Yep. And our took a break this last year. Who knows if they're going to be doing in the future. But we met there. And something that Chellise was an instructor there. And something that always stood out to me about their business was they were doing a lot of weddings. They had a full team. And, it's a little bit more rare for photographers, I think, to be doing that as opposed to just being self-operated. So since we had a similar model, I was always like, man, they're crushing it. They're killing it. Like, how are they doing all these things? And so that's the thing that always stood out to me. And I was like, when we go to New York, we have to meet with Chellise. We have to be able to catch up with them and talk about some things because I think your business model is so interesting. So excited to talk. Yeah, talk through some of those things.
Poof, here I am.
Yeah.
So Chellise, why don't you tell, for those that don't know about you, kind of talk a little bit about you and your business a little bit.
Yeah, so Chellise Michael Photography is myself, obviously, and my husband, Michael, who's not here today. He's in Phoenix, Arizona.
We miss you, Michael.
But we've been in biz. This is our 10th year. And
I think this is our 10th year, too.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys.
2010.
Yeah. We were growing side by side. We didn't even know.
But yeah, it's been a really amazing 10-year run so far. But yeah, we started out as just he and I, and then we sort of organically grew into a team of, at our max, we had 4 photographers shooting for us, or with us, I should say. And then we dwindled down a little bit, and then last year, actually, we were like, let's take a break. Let's just like get down to basics, me and you again, just me and him. And then we were like, we learned a lot and decided to reframe kind of change the framework of it and rebuild again. So now we have Danny and Emily working with us. And yeah, so we've been doing the team thing for definitely about 7 years.
Awesome.
And I like it.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about your work, or tell everybody about your work, because I know what your work looks like. But for anybody who hasn't seen it, I would personally describe it. You would never look at their work and go, "Oh, that's shot by a group of people." It looks so cohesive across the brand. It's kind of moody. Mm-hmm. It's a little bit. It's artsy, even.
Yeah. Feels very New Yorky.
Yeah, very New York. Like it's awesome work. How do you guys describe it? That's my terrible description.
I love it. I mean, it's always weird to describe your own work, right? I feel like it's actually better described by other people because you don't really know. You're just doing you, and whatever it comes out as, it gets described as. So, but yeah, we have a very documentary style, New York, artsy for sure. Moody is definitely up our alley. We actually get sought out for a lot by couples because they're like, wow, you shot in this really dark place. We know that A, you can technically handle it, and B, we like the way you do it. Mm-hmm. So we do, attract a lot of that kind of clientele. But then the other thing is we do a lot of, we get in there. We get down with the rowdy dance party and, get up in it. And
I can see that.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid to show the not so perfect shots, or it's not all about perfection.
Totally.
That's you guys primarily working out of New York City?
Yes, definitely like a lot of just the whole, East Coast area, but like New York, Philly, we're upstate a lot. Some West stuff. It's pretty rare that someone actually pays my travel fee to fly to California when there's so many amazing people out there already.
Yeah.
But when they do, and I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, I would say it's mostly like over on this side of the States, and I like it like that. I do.
Yeah. It's good to have a home base, especially when you can like count on 80%, 90% of your work coming from within 2 hours.
Yeah. I really value my personal time, and I don't want to be flying all over the world.
I mean, I think the when you're young, you're like, yeah, I want to go to California, I want to go to Iceland, I want to go to yeah. It's like, oh, well, I'm big because I can actually travel, and then usually you find out that you probably break even most of the time
or you're not. Yeah, you're not really making enough money.
Yeah,
I think
No.
you spend
yeah.
it all.
Well,
You know what I haven't liked about travel weddings? Some are great, but there have been travel weddings where like I go to the wedding and then we're like, that wasn't a very good wedding.
yeah.
Such a
It's really like about where, to me, it's like where I want to go. Like in New Orleans, I'm like, I'm in. Like,
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
city. I always extend it and like on my own dime, of course, and stay, things like that. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway,
point being, it's awesome to have a home base.
it is so awesome to have a
Like,
home
it's
base.
awesome to have a home
And
base.
It's not bad that it's New York City.
No,
yeah.
no. So
There are worse places.
I'm always fascinated by people who work out of New York because it's kind of like its own, like, a microcosm of an entire region. Like you can literally work only out of New York City. You can have a
Definitely.
whole career
Hands
working out of,
down, yeah.
and then not only that, it's got its own thing, its own flavor.
Yep.
Like when you said, "Oh, I don't mind showing the ugly parts," that's New York City.
Right.
Like it's so real. It's all about that authenticity, but then there's this human side to it too. Like what blows me away about New York City is like it's a little European in that like every neighborhood you're in, people are living in.
Right.
Maybe with a few exceptions, but like, so I think like there you don't separate like the humanity from the city. I've been to some cities where like you're in the middle of the city and you're like, does anyone live here?
Oh, weird.
Oh yeah, Indianapolis. You go to Indianapolis, like the whole middle of the city is just office building, office building, office building, and nobody lives there. After 9 p.m., nothing is happening.
Yeah.
You're just like by yourself. I'm at the hotel, just sitting there. And there's
Every inch is for rent in New York City.
Yeah.
So New York, like I think that just like when you look at people who work in New York in the wedding industry, like their work is vibrant in that way. It's a little dark and moody, but then it's always this hopeful edge.
Yeah.
And I just I just love that. I look at that stuff. and I'm
Shooting in New
always-
York, I do feel like you never know what's going to happen too. Like I've had like a handful of times where I've come down here to photograph people, and it's like, well, this random guy's playing a saxophone, so how can I incorporate that in this photo that I'm taking? And it's like,
so
it's fun.
good.
It
It's
keeps
so
you sharp.
good. Like incorporating the people of the city is one of my favorite things to do. It's
Yeah.
just so I'm like, there's gonna be people in your photo, accept it, and actually like, they're kind of gonna make the photo. Actually, it's
Yeah.
pretty great. So
It's
you can
kinda like-
definitely
and-
count on that.
When I photograph, and I think there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, your first rule is like, get the cars out of the shot, like, or something like that. In New York, you're kind of just like, well,
Yeah.
F it, I can't get any cars out. You
Like-
just,
Do you remember that time we were doing?
what can you actually do?
We were doing B-roll in New York for some corporate piece, and we're just shooting like this cool thing, and like I think it was like Elmo and Grover are standing in the foreground,
Giving me the middle finger.
Yeah,
Like,
but we didn't know it until after. We're like looking at people like, oh, this is a cool shot, and then like Elmo just turns around and just starts flipping the camera off.
Oh, that's
like grabbing
so
his
solid.
crotch, and you're like, Elmo, what the heck, man? You ruined my
I
shot.
was like, that was New York.
Yeah.
You
right there.
guys, you gotta sell that.
I gotta
somewhere. You
find
put
that
on
photo somewhere.
Adobe
I know,
Stock, like
I know.
ASAP.
Let's get into kind of the meat and potatoes of this thing, which
Yeah.
is, I think, I know for you, the team thing is unique, I think, in the industry, but for you and for me, I think it's just a thing we kind of naturally did, right? How did that kind of start happening for you guys? For anybody who's interested in kind of growing a team, I think this would be a helpful part, but for us, I don't think we set out to do it. I don't know if you did.
Yeah, I don't know that most wedding photographers do. Maybe they do, but it stumbled up on us. So when we were first starting out, there was A guy who used to shoot for us. He's out in San Diego now, and you guys may know him. His name's Daniel Oren. I don't know. He's a geeky, like, so you guys.
I love geeks.
Run in circles. But he hit us up, like, and was like, hey, can I come shadow a wedding with you? I'm new in town, da-da-da. And normally I was just like, yeah, sure, whatever, come on. Yeah. And so I let this guy who I didn't even know come and like tag along on a wedding with us, which is something I probably wouldn't do now.
You wouldn't do it now? Yeah.
It's just like, oh, another like body. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of
Yeah.
it's kind of not really that great, but it was fine. But anyway, we were shooting this wedding, and Mike and I were still pretty fresh in like the New York scene. And so he shows up, and we're trying to do this like family photo, a ton of people in a dark room. We still didn't like really know lighting that well. We were kind of good at it, not really. But Daniel's like, I got you. Boom, boom, puts up lights, boom, boom, comes over and just puts a remote on my camera and is like 4.5, da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. And I go, holy shit, this looks so fucking good. So I was like, we got to figure out a way to keep this guy.
Yeah.
He's so valuable.
Yeah.
He knows something that we don't, that's going to elevate our work. And then he also saw value in us because we could kind of show him this cool way we're shooting. So he was intrigued with the way we were shooting. We were intrigued with some technical savvy. And it just worked out. So then we're like, all right, we got to figure out how to keep this guy. So we started like booking him, and just a really great relationship. And then from there, we like hired somebody to support him and be his like team. You know, we kind of were at that point doing teams all the time. And then it just always kind of organically happened. Like
Totally.
people just kind of showed up
Yep.
in the right
Yep.
place, the right time. Whenever we've like really like been like, cool, we need to find somebody, never works out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't. It's always usually people coming to us, or
You're like forcing it, and you're
Yeah.
trying to conform somebody into your culture that maybe isn't the right fit, and then it's just they fall away after a short amount of time.
Yeah.
I think this is the big difference between if you are like anti-volume models, if you're one of those people that have, oh, George Street, I don't like George Street, or I don't like some company you don't like. I think the big difference between a company like that and what we do and what they do over at Chellise Michael is we're not just trying to fill some quota of shooters. Like, we take the amount of weddings we can support based on the people we're comfortable working with, not based on just some arbitrary number. And if you're like trying to do it, realize it should feel good.
definitely.
Like when you're adding team members, you should be like, and it takes time I think for us, it took time to figure out, like, there's some people we've worked with who were like, yeah, this guy's going to be awesome. And then we're like,
Oops.
But I think like that's what you're trying to find is like not just your creative voice, but what is our culture?
Yeah.
Yep.
What is our culture? And then you'll start learning, oh, this guy fits into our culture. This
Yeah.
person fits in and all that.
And some of the
And-
best advice I got was hire slow and fire fast. And
Yeah.
that just holds so true. You can't rush this kind of stuff because especially when you're like, okay, let's book this guy. And then he's booked for a whole year out and you're like, shit, we have this guy for a whole year.
Yeah.
What are we going to do? You gotta like go in soft and then see how it goes.
That's been tough because like some people like it's more we've tried to develop a process where we can weed those people out early where it's like, well, you're going to assist. You're not even going to lead shoot at first. It's just you're going to come to weddings. We can usually find people that are like, well, this person has a weird character thing. Like it's like they can't show up on time ever. So if they can't show up on time for this, like I'm not going to trust them with a wedding literally ever. So you weed those people out early.
Yeah.
Something I like that you said was like, not only did, when he came on and started helping you, it was like, he's not only contributing to your culture and like, or I guess like fitting in your culture, it's like he's actually enhancing your culture by like bringing
Absolutely.
something that's totally new and totally different to, the process and what your company goals are.
Yeah.
So how would
Yeah.
who would you say, like you've kind of been working on this for a couple of years, in terms of identifying those people, what is that person like now in your mind?
Yeah, there's definitely, I guess, sort of attributes in a way of that person, but really what it comes down to is what their end goal is. So to me, the perfect person to join our team is somebody who's already been doing it, tried to run their own business, maybe hated running a business. So they're not in it to like come and like basically, I don't want them to just come in and waste our time and have us spend a year coaching them and getting them up there and then peace out. So the people who have already run a business and like really like, I don't like this. I just want to shoot. I just want to create and like do something else on my own on the side. That is the perfect person because they've already been through it. They know how hard it is to run a business and they know it's not for them. And they just want to shoot and edit or whatever. So those are the perfect kind of people for me.
I love that. I love when you mentioned that at workshop, and I was like, oh, that's so true, because that's the one person that we really hadn't worked with before. And I find a lot of times that type of person is a person that's like, you know what, working on a weekend, making a certain amount of money in one day that I make the rest of the week working at this other random job. That's interesting to me. Like, and you can find people that are talented that maybe work, a part-time or full-time job. And just finding that person was someone that was a little bit of a challenge. And I think in the last couple of years, we've had a couple shooters who have come on board who are just like, I want to work, just one day a week as opposed to, doing editing the rest of the week. And
I think with video, it's a little different in that it's mildly more technical.
Totally.
Definitely.
And so we actually do fine with people who have zero experience. Many of our people have zero experience, and they assist with us for like 1 to 2 years before they are trusted to shoot.
Right.
So they're showing up, carrying our bags, and then they're learning to set up lighting, and then they're learning to set up their audio, and then they're learning all the parts that like are they're just fundamentals.
Yep.
And then they start understanding how to work with couples, and then how to not piss off other vendors.
Right.
And then eventually, like, the last thing I care about is if they're good shooters.
Wow, that's amazing.
The most thing I care about is like, and I do care about that, but like that's like the end of are you ready? The first thing is, do you know how to not screw up?
Right.
And then
you're responsible.
give me good footage that I can edit, and don't
Right.
screw up. And then, are you going to treat people the right way?
Yeah.
Are you going to ruin my reputation with all the planners and the photographers and the people that I've worked really hard to work with?
Yeah.
That's our big thing.
Are they hard
Well,
workers?
you don't learn that until you actually like have them come along with you. And you're like, oh, you see some colors, and you're like, okay, that's how you roll. All right, we don't want any of that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's okay.
How do you? So Jay mentioned it a little bit before, like the cohesiveness of the style and the brand. Do you find that you're going out and looking for people that match that certain aesthetic, or are you just like? I mean, you guys do a lot of the edits too, right? Like you guys have everyone shoot, the edits come back to you. Is that how?
So that's what
works?
it used to be like.
Okay.
The way it used to work for years, and when we had our team for solid, it was like for a good solid 3 to 4 years, everybody would shoot. They would cull their own work, which I think is super important. They
you got to look at your own work.
They need to see their work. And then Mike and I would do the editing. So this kept the brand like really cohesive, like the coloring, the toning. Like it's really hard to match someone's edits. Like that's just it's really hard to do.
Because you're making all these choices in the middle of it. You can't just tell a person, put this template on.
Right. Yeah. But that was honestly kind of killing me and Mike. We're like, we can't edit 100 plus weddings a year.
Totally.
We are out of our fucking minds. So, once we kind of did that, like 2 year last season, chilled out and just rebuilt our foundation. We're like, we need to not only find a shooter that complements our style, but also knows how to edit. And we're going to pay him or her more to edit his or her photos. And if they can't, well, we now have an in-house editor that edits Mike and I's work. And then we do the final pass. So instead of 12 or 14 hours, excuse me, it's, 2 to 3.
Sure.
So worst case scenario, like we can run it by him. But ideally, our shooters are editing their own work now. And
it's good for you. That's awesome.
That takes a year of training. So Danny's he just joined us last year in the spring.
Yeah.
He came in every single week, brought all his images. We would kind of pre-edit certain sections together and edit with him. It took him a year to get there with us. He was a little more like on the cool side, like even moodier and darker.
Yeah.
we just had to teach them to like warm it up,
Just
brighten
lift
it up.
it up.
That was just for us, you know. I'm like, do you on
Yes.
whatever else you shoot, but for us this. So it takes a minute,
Yeah.
a lot of minute.
It
Yeah.
does.
But-
I mean, we probably even go another step with the video process because we're like, we want you to use all of our gear because consistency is huge. Like on the
Yeah.
video side, you can't really do what we're trying to do with everyone having a bunch of different
Even
styles.
just getting the
Totally.
files, they have to be exactly the same.
Yeah. So it's like everyone has to use our gear, step one. And then step two is you have to come and you have to sit. We all sit together and we talk about when we're doing the getting ready or whatever part of the day, we want you to use this lens, this camera.
Right.
This shot. Here's
Yeah,
an example 5 times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We have a shot list. So it's like, this is an ideal shot at this time of day of a venue or whatever, I know, across the board. Yeah.
And then we I don't know if we're doing this anymore, but at one point we were even scoring every wedding.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We're
We were
going
like,
like-
you missed these shots. You
What
know.
did you give them? Some gold stars too?
No, we would keep it kind of private. We would just talk about it like, hey, this guy consistently misses the
Totally.
mark.
Internally, not
Yeah.
to them.
Totally
Yeah.
internally. Yep.
But if someone did a great job, we would publicly
Of course.
praise them, but privately
Absolutely.
criticize them and then fire
Yeah.
them.
Well,
Yep.
and as far as just to go back to like, how do we create a because the editing is one thing,
Yep.
but when we're hiring people, we are looking for like something that complements our brand. It doesn't. We don't want mini Chellise mini mics.
Yes.
Because that's us, and we can never expect that.
Yep.
But one really valuable lesson I learned through this was, you know, we had this like really cool hip style, and then we brought on this one particular photographer who was wonderful, but they had a little more of a slightly more classic look. So I was a little worried, like, is this gonna work? You know?
Yeah.
But I have to say, they got booked quicker than the other team every year for like 4 years straight because they kind of attracted couples that liked us and liked our edge, but maybe we were a little like
I don't think I could pull off laying on the ground.
Maybe we're not that cool,
Yeah.
but we want to be associated with this cool brand and I like their edits. But,
Sure.
So I was like, oh, this is actually great to have somebody with a little more diversity as a creative because then we kind of speak to 2 different kinds of couples.
Do you
Does that make
allow?
sense?
Yeah, totally. Do you allow the couples to choose like the photographer that they want
course.
specifically? They're like, oh, you know, you
yeah.
have a gallery of this shooter,
100%.
a gallery of that shooter, and you're like, yeah, okay, that
Yeah, when the
makes
inquiry comes
total
through, we're
sense.
like, boom, boom, boom's available.
Yep.
Links to all their portfolios. Take
Yep.
your pick.
Sweet.
And some people email us right away saying, I'm really into Danny's work.
Yep.
What's his price? Like bypassing Chellise and Mike.
Sure.
Which is
Awesome.
a great feeling. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
great.
I tell people all the time, like, you can compliment my work and be like, oh, we love our film. What actually makes me feel the best is when someone's like, we just had Caleb and he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, we love that kid. It's like,
proud parent feeling. right
totally.
there.
It makes me feel so much better.
I'm sure. Do you ever get the messages from other vendors? Oh, they were there today. They were so amazing.
Absolutely.
That's the best.
Absolutely.
We get them all, like probably, maybe not every
Yeah.
weekend, but almost every weekend. Like somebody's texting us, Dom was here. He was amazing.
Oh,
Caleb was here. He was
that's
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
People who, and a lot of times there are people who I really respect, and I would be horrified. Actually, one time somebody I really respected was like, "Who's this guy you sent me?"
Yeah, this guy sucks. And I was like, what? I was like, what's wrong? And then my shooter's like, this guy, Joe, he's a piece of crap. And I'm like freaking out because that never has happened. And then they're
Right.
both like, no, we're just effing with you. Because they knew how it would make me feel. But that's like, you know, a tribute to, you know, he was doing a great job where they could just like meet and joke around like each other.
Yeah.
That, you know, shoot the crap with each other. So, yeah.
So I'm always fascinated about how you break into a market like this. So you weren't from New York.
No, we're from Arizona.
So like, what the heck?
How did we break into it? I don't even know. I mean, I feel like New York just really welcomed us. Like we came in and just, you know, when you go to a new city with like fresh eyes and everything's amazing to you, and you just want to shoot everything. I feel like we had that freshness in us. Like we weren't raised on the East Coast, so like there was a different viewpoint, but we just kind of like connected with the right Brooklyn vendors that we were all kind of coming up around the same time.
And that was like,
we just like connected really well, and it's a
was
really
that at like the
supportive
beginning?
crew.
Was that like the beginning of like Brooklyn becoming Brooklyn now.
I would say like 2012.
Yeah.
But it was like, I was really shocked at how cool everybody was and supportive and not super competitive.
Mm-hmm. I've had the same.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that in New York. I think
Nobody would think that.
because New York is New York. It's like,
I
you know,
think it has to do with
dog eats dog.
Brooklyn and Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Yes.
difference.
Totally.
And I mean, I've talked to this guy, Brandon, is a Fuji rep who used to, they would sponsor our camp go away thing that we would do. And when I hit him up being like, hey, we're doing this camp and like all these photographers are getting together and like hanging out, he's like, wait, you guys get along? And I'm like, yeah, dude. And he's like, he didn't believe me.
Yeah.
And we had to meet in person. And he was like floored that I hung out with like dozens of wedding photographers on the regular and we all like were cool. And he had to come to Camp Go Away to see it for himself.
Yeah.
That's
Gave us
awesome.
a bunch of film.
Well, it's like we always joke about it. We're always like hashtag community over competition because that whole thing. And,
Like in Arizona, it was
but it's
it was not friendly.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because I find we're Massachusetts, Rhode Island, we're kind of all New England.
I don't know if it's friendly or not. I
think
know.
Rhode Island is very friendly.
Yes.
Like everyone is just want to see everyone succeed. Massachusetts, Boston, it's a little bit more. It's
an old boys
stuffy.
club,
Assholes.
including women.
A little bit.
Old
Self-admitted assholes,
humans
yeah.
club.
Yeah.
There'll be like the same people will work every wedding.
Right,
And then
right,
they
right.
won't refer anyone outside of the
Okay.
circle. I had a vendor one time look at me and go, "Is this your first wedding?" And I was like, "Dude, I mean, like, I guarantee I shot more weddings than you." But like, he was just like, "That's the Boston thing."
Wow. How
And we were just like, that was what, like after that wedding, I was like, "Screw these weddings. I don't want to work in this city." And then we were like, "This is stupid. There's a lot of money here. We should
Yeah. back it up.
recalibrate." But we had to, like, in order to get in, we've had to actually work really hard
Yeah.
at engendering like trust with that group of people and becoming part of that group of people. And it's great now, but I know, like, I don't have a problem with the city having like a gauntlet that you have to get through to get in their club. Is what it is. So New York City, you just came in, you moved to Brooklyn. Did you move here for photography?
Kind of. It was so in Arizona. I was just starting out. I just decided I'm gonna do weddings, and then Mike and I were like, we had a crew out here, a bunch of Phoenicians that also had moved out there, and like, you guys need to be in New York. Just get your ass out here. And he's like, do you want to move to New York? And literally, and I was like, yeah, let's go. I would rather go now and like start there than start here in Arizona.
Yes.
So we just like came out here and just worked really hard. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
No.
You know, and everybody finds their circle, and that circle is going to be different for everybody. Like the circle I'm in, a lot of people are like, "Where do you go hang out? How do you find these people?" It's like you just find them. Like I don't know. You find your crew that's all coming up, and you end up growing together.
Our for us as filmmakers, it's much harder, I think, to find local people. There's so few. There's so like our circle is actually national. The people that we are, I would say, peers with,
And just photographers.
and photographers and planners.
Yeah.
The local circle is photographers, planners, and we know like maybe 3 filmmakers.
Yeah. Yeah, the wedding video place is weird because honestly, a lot of videographers view the photographers as the enemy. You know, it's like, and we're just like, what is wrong with you people? Like,
Yeah.
we're the same. You know, like
Yeah.
we're trying to do the same job.
Do you guys
Don't get it.
so I'm not on photography boards. I should do that though, huh? Anyway, but I'm not on those boards, so I don't know. So on video boards, like Facebook boards and Reddit groups and whatever, every week there's somebody posting a picture of a photographer standing in their shot complaining.
Yeah.
Is that the same with video?
There's definitely, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
that's definitely, of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
we all have those situations. I find that they're kind of rare. I mean, it's all about communication. And
I find
But
that
then
true.
sometimes you communicate with someone and they're like, yeah, cool, but then they do it anyway.
Yeah.
And those are the
Yeah.
ones that get posted and you're like, dude, what the
Come
heck?
on,
Like,
yeah, we talked about
I thought we were doing on this
I
together.
thought we were on the same
Or,
team.
like, why do you have 3 tripods in the aisle? You know, like, I've only done the picture once where it's like, oh my God, I've never seen 3 full-on massive tripods in the aisle.
In
How do
one
I-
aisle?
Yeah, and I was like, wow.
What would even be the value of that?
Picture worthy. I don't know, you
Yeah.
guys. I don't know.
So
The
let's
rolly
talk-
tripods
I'm
are my
like, how are
favorite. I
they
love
going to
those.
get down the aisle? Yeah.
We've broached the subject.
Anyway.
Like, you're working with filmmakers probably. How many of your weddings do you think, like, most of them?
So we have a videographer as well. And we actually brought one on
Sweet.
because of the communication barrier. We're like, well, if we may as well offer videos, so we have somebody that like speaks our language and like we know we can just like link arms and like rock it and not have to actually talk and just communicate like.
Yep.
So she works with us, and then I would say honestly only probably like 30, not that many, 30-40%.
You have to bring us
maybe
on.
30%
Yeah.
of our couples want video. So it's really not up to me, but I always recommend, you know, obviously us and or other people that I know I have a good communication with and like
Yeah.
working relationship with, to be honest. And I tell couples that I'm like, let me know if you're hiring video because I want to know who they are so I can talk to them and know that they're cool. And there's people I've worked with where I actually don't ever want to work with them again because they're
Completely.
so aggressive. And
What is
I'm
the
like,
thing-
I would rather actually not take this wedding if you're working with them. And I
Totally.
won't say that, but if I get wind, I
What
might,
is the thing that you hate?
just like really aggressive on the couple and up, like for instance, like at a ceremony when the videographers are up there with
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
Like there's no need to be up there.
Like, literally, like,
Literally,
physically
like,
in their space?
physically with the wedding party, I guess. Actually, a wedding I shot in Boston. Gentleman was standing his butt right in front of the parents the whole fucking time. Like, I was just like, this is so disrespectful.
Yeah.
It's more about like, I just get bummed out about the experience of everybody.
Yes.
I'm affected by that.
Yeah.
And then I get like, what if everybody here thinks that they're my team, you know, because people get confused, like, oh, it's probably the photographer. You know what I mean? I worry about that too.
Since we started with both photo and video, and since I think I had a background in photo, so I was like, these are the shots that I want to get. This is the angle that I'm trying to get. It just kind of came second nature for us to be like, well, in order for the photographer to get those shots, we need to work with zoom lenses. We need to have like a better approach than just putting 3 tripods in the middle aisle, because you can get a very similar shot. You just might have to be a little bit more creative and have a better approach.
Right, better equipment.
Better equipment might be
Yeah.
a part of that. But it just came so easy. So for us, we found most photographers would be like, we actually love working with you. And not only do we like get along, but it's like, I would prefer to have you here because then we can work off of each other and have a good working relationship. So
It's all about hashtag team wedding.
It is
Yeah.
very much about teamwork, communication. I mean, you have to work together. Like,
Yeah.
don't let it ruin your day. But, you know, sometimes I see some shit and I'm like, I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's all usually a style thing. And, like, I don't know.
I don't think there's some photographers that I'm like, that's
I'm
the
sure you
worst.
see it too. You're like,
Well, the only thing that I see sometimes, I don't really care about what they do work-wise. It doesn't matter to me. You do whatever you want. And then we don't work with photographers who are like bad, pretty much. We pretty much work with pretty solid
Yeah.
people. And so I guess if we were working with someone who's terrible, maybe I'd feel different. But regardless, we're usually working with good people. The only thing that I sometimes get as a filmmaker is when people are just so skeptical of you just because you're a filmmaker. And they will literally just do things to keep you from getting access.
oh, that's rude.
To the
They're like trying
client.
to kind of
yeah.
sabotage.
It's like a box out.
Yeah, they'll be like I'll say,
Yeah.
like, hey, just let me know when you're gonna do the dress, and they will just start the dress, and without even telling me, and
Right,
and I'll
right.
be like, I thought we were gonna do this, and they'll
Yeah.
act like we had no conversation, little things like that. But in general, like that doesn't even happen very often. I can count like
No.
3 times that that's ever happened.
We've tried to, whenever we're working with someone we haven't worked before, I think I've tried to make it an emphasis for our guys to be like, send them an email. Just say, hey, my name is whatever, usually the week of, because if
Yep.
I was a photographer, I'd just forget who you are in like 2
course,
seconds.
yeah, week
like
of.
2 days before.
Week
That's what I
of,
do.
hey, I'm, Jared, we're going to be really excited to be working together. And, I just want to let you know, this is the way that I work. Let me know if that's a problem. Like, I want to have our cameras off to the sides, hopefully out of your way. Just give them like a general overview. And then, hopefully if there is any problems,
I think
you're nipping them in the bud before they
yeah,
even,
and I think the moral of the story is like, it's not that hard to work with someone else.
Well, so I was chatting with you earlier about this, something that we've sort of implemented about working with videographers that I'm excited about, and I think it benefits both, but would love to hear your take on this.
Yeah.
Somebody else was like, no.
Interesting.
A photographer, a friend of mine was like, no, and I was like, I don't get this. But anyway, I worked with a videographer earlier in 2018, and I had my time, I went to take the couple out on the street, and I was like, where's Alex? Where's the videographer?
Yeah.
I was trying to find him, couldn't find him. I'm like, shit. I'm like, all right,
go.
we're going to go.
Yeah.
But, like, if you see him, somebody.
Yep.
We go do our thing. And I felt bad. I was like, oh, I bet he wants to be here anyway. But whatever, doing my thing. Go back inside. And I was like, hey, dude, I'm so sorry. We were out there. I didn't see you. He goes, why would I come with you for portraits?
Interesting.
Like, he's like, those are stills. I want movement. Why would I come with you for that? And I was like, oh, my God, I love you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I get why videographers come along.
Yeah.
But it made us change the way that we do our video with
Yeah.
Emily, our videographer. The way we do it is like, if we're going to do portraits, I get the couple for 20 minutes on my own, or like 15, whatever the time allows.
Yep.
And she gets them for the second half, so maybe the extra 20 minutes. And what this allows is like me to have creative freedom without somebody right behind me, or like in my shot,
Yep.
or like, and I work really fast. I kind of forget to be like, oh shoot, I'll look like, hey, next. And the videographer's like, wait. And I'm like, oh shit.
That's
sorry.
how I think
And
city
that's
weddings
just the
are, by the way.
Like, you just go in a mile a minute. So it allows me to just like have some intimate time with them without them feeling paparazzi'd. And then handing them off to Emily gives me a break. I'm like, I just need 10 minutes. And then she gets to create something totally visually different, so that the client's not getting a video that's just mirroring their stills.
Yeah.
Which I think is like way more valuable, and it gives her complete creative freedom.
Yeah.
So some videographers are like, no, I don't want that. And I'm like, what are you doing
Honestly,
here?
I think a lot of videographers won't know how to pose
They don't know
people.
how to do it.
Yeah,
And I'm
because
like,
they just lean on the
that's what
photographer.
This is. And it's like, and we do all this scouting and like pre.
Yeah.
And like, so that drives me a little crazy. And they're like, where are we doing this? Where are we doing that? I'm like,
Yeah.
am I doing both our jobs?
So for Stop Go Love, we would only ever snipe the photographer's shots because of time, and because they're not paying for that level of investment, the couple.
Well, it's all about now educating them. Like, I require this.
Yes.
Your videographer should require this.
I think
Yes.
if there was a photographer who wanted that, we'd be like, okay,
Yeah,
let's
it'd be
we
great.
just have to plan for it in the schedule.
But for
and
Huxley
we'd be totally
Film,
fine.
which is our high-end line, we require it.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
I think
So-
the more that people do this,
Yes.
it'll help.
I think so.
Because
I think
like
so.
I'll show you some footage we lit it with like RGB quasars, and we cleared a whole room in the hotel, and we lit it like a music video.
Got you.
So the couple came in and we did a little session with
Yep.
them. It doesn't mean if the photographer was like, oh yeah, you can come with me, we'd probably go shoot it. But it's more like documenting the day.
yeah.
Like maybe the photographer would even be in the shot. We wouldn't we wouldn't go like, let me get some gimbal stuff. I prefer not to interrupt a photographer's work. But so it's like, I don't necessarily think, like there are times where you just have to. That's the only thing I'll say. There are, especially city weddings, there are times where the schedule's so tight, nobody's going to get more than 20
Absolutely.
minutes with a
It's
couple.
a rare occasion. I mean, but it just comes down to I feel like it's our responsibility to communicate to them and the planners. So I'm hitting people up a month or two out and being like, just so you know, this has to happen.
Yep.
We need separate time. Videographers should also have their own time.
With the New Year's Eve wedding we just did, for 3 months, and I went to the hotel early and got the space cleared out. But that was a much more high-end wedding in terms of the time and the creativity that goes into it. So it's like, I think that way that you're talking about, why would someone not want that, I guess I would say?
It's all about the way you pitch it.
Yeah.
And you're like, don't you want a video that's a little different than your photos?
Yeah.
And like,
But some,
even if it's only 10 minutes each,
The-
we each kill it in 10 minutes, right?
Video of posing is personal opinion. Someone can feel totally different,
So
but it's
boring.
boring.
Yes.
But
Well,
what
and you can tell.
the thing that I do like is if like a photographer is, working with a couple and then they're like, okay, hang on, I'm just going to switch cameras. And then they're like talking to each other during this time. And they're
course.
just like, he says something to her and actually makes her laugh. That looks good on video.
course.
and some photographers, by the way, have shooting styles that are super kinetic.
Yeah.
There's a lot of motion involved. That looks great on camera. That's not most, especially city photographers.
Yeah.
City photographers, a lot of posing.
Well, I find myself
Yeah.
being the like videographer's cheerleader sometimes because they're not doing anything.
A lot of them
And
have
I'm
never
like-
posed anyone.
And then I'm just like, okay, you guys move. Let's get
Yeah.
movement. Like da 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 da. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? But
Yeah.
like, I'm trying to like get
Yeah.
things going.
Yeah.
They've never posed anyone.
Well, they shouldn't. Yeah, it's strange.
It's never
Yeah.
happened.
So-
like your job is posing. That's your job
Well,
since
that's it. Yeah,
since
it's
the
like-
moment that you started shooting photography. You
Yeah.
senior photo or whatever you did first. You're posing someone, and you're working for years and years and years, developing a repertoire of poses,
Yeah.
making
And
people
we are
comfortable.
shooting in between poses. That's how we get our candid shots.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Like,
Yeah.
but if a videographer, they probably started on a tripod in a studio somewhere. Like they've never posed anyone. They've
Yeah.
never had to maybe a director directed all the talent, and all they've ever done is stab it.
Right.
Like a lot of these guys don't know anything about posing people. Now that's changing. I think the industry is tweaking in that way. I didn't really go, but Henry did that workshop just on posing. I've never seen a workshop on posing for videographers.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting.
Really?
We don't talk about that.
Dude, you guys need to.
We talk about gear.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yep.
Yeah, we talk about gear. We don't talk about that stuff. And so like I think it's changing in the industry for us.
Well, it's not even posing; it's directing. It's it's.
But they've never done that
I've
either.
I've seen Sharon do it, and I'm like, I can't. She's gonna love that I'm gonna want to
Yes,
be separated.
yes.
Because she commands it. She's really good at. And I haven't seen anybody else do it like her.
I think it's just a matter of setting expectation because I know a lot of photographers that would be like, kind of like if the videographer was
would
like,
be
I
mad.
need my own time. If
They
they
would be
demanded their own time, they would be upset about that they're not
would not
included.
be.
So I think for us,
Or a planner, they would be like, they
it's
want to
just
get back
more
to their
time
friends and
and-
have
yeah.
drinks. And you're one thing you do need to understand: filmmakers are usually picking up the scraps of the whole day. We made a career off being bottom feeders because like
explain.
I
because
think,
you're picking up like you're the last book. They're just like they have extra money, they book you.
right.
They're not that many people will literally say to us, "Oh, we don't want to see you. We're not comfortable being videoed."
And that's not everybody, but
That's
a
not
lot
everybody,
of people
but
are just
that's a
like,
lot
I
of
don't want to
people.
even think about my videographer.
Yeah, so
Great.
you
Yeah.
pretty much, unless you're creating a product that tells the story,
Right.
you're involved in this. So if that's what you want to make, which Huxley
Yeah.
film, I want to make that.
Well, it's like AY Video guys. They're incredible, and I think their clients are like really excited that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
They're a huge part of it. I've worked with them a couple times, and they're definitely like they're part of it, and
Mm-hmm.
they're really respected by the people that are there.
Well, and it's one of
Hmm.
those things. I think you just get PTSD
Yeah.
as a filmmaker because
Oh.
you show up, you just learn you learn your role and you learn how to be successful on the day, which is don't piss anyone off, make everybody happy. I literally saw a post the other day of, does anyone know of a videographer who I won't see all day? Like it was a bride, and someone recommended us.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like somebody was like, "Oh, I worked with them, and we didn't even notice him. It was a planner."
Yeah.
That's what they want.
No,
that's a
there's-
selling.
and
That's a
honestly,
selling
that
point.
is, there's only like one or two people that I can honestly say that about in New York City, and they are like the only people I want to work with.
Yeah.
Not for the couple, but even just like we're both like
Yeah.
that. Like I'm very discreet too.
Yep.
And people don't really know I'm there. I mix in, but
I do think that is not the product that I want to make. We want to make something that that's a closer to like an editorial piece of commercial work.
But I mean, this person that I'm referring to, you'd be blown away, Just blown away at his work, and it's just
Having a solo session is not something I bet if you polled videographers, many of them have never had it.
Well, I'm pushing for it because
Let's do it.
Yeah, I like it.
I want them to have it. I think they should.
I think a majority of videographers would agree with you. They'd be like, "Oh, if they
They
push for that, I would
should.
totally take advantage of that." Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna help you guys.
I put a cheer
Jay
in.
just did it. Yeah.
No, I think it's great, and I think we do need to educate videographers too on hey, flex this creative muscle. And this is why I think
Yes.
when you look at you can't have animosity, because the people that, if you want to learn how to pose, hang out with photographers, not just posing, because you don't necessarily want to imitate their poses, but you do want to imitate the bedside manner, which is like, these people know how to make a person comfortable to do what they want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. The majority of videographers that I have worked with, when we're doing portraits, I'll be like, after I'm done shooting, I'm like, what do you want to do? And they're just like, nothing. They just look at
they
me,
got their stuff.
I'm like, okay. All
Yep.
right, cool.
Yep.
I don't need to keep asking this question. I can just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well,
but I want inside. I'm like, why? Why aren't you doing something? Like, how are you not inspired right now to like do something else?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is going on?
I think they've
So
just.
for me, I'm like, as a creative, I'm like, what? How?
Yeah.
Why don't you? I'm giving you free reign right now, and you're not taking it. This is really weird.
Probably people have just been like, some people just might, like I said, PTSD, like they've just been, they've tried to do things before.
Have, like, a talk with them.
Yeah, we need to have a
and,
talk.
Like, give them a hug.
Yeah.
Let them know it's okay.
It's okay.
You can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You must. I want you to. For
Please.
you.
I
for
really,
you,
I
for
hope
you.
the industry goes that way. I think it would be beneficial for everybody to just like, hey, I need this amount of time. But like Jay said, usually most venues aren't even going to be used to that. So they're like, no,
Well,
cocktail hour
why do
starts
the
at this
venues
time.
get to have say? It's
That-
about educating your client.
It goes back to the photographer, though, I think.
Well, and your photographer,
Yeah.
and being like,
The schedule
I
is
mean,
pretty much made usually between the planner and photographer, and we get whatever is left over. They don't even ask
Why
us.
don't you ask? To
Well, we
communicate?
do sometimes.
Why
I'm
don't
just
you
saying,
say,
like, you have to manually insert yourself in that process, and I'm comfortable doing that, but a lot of other people aren't.
Maybe
all.
see. I think that you should try.
We do.
Yeah.
And I mean, with the communication, and be like, oh, who's your photographer? Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit them up and like ask them about.
Yes.
Can we each split some time up? And
Yep.
if that's the person who's like communicating with the planner the most, the photographer, and they know that you want that, then they're gonna be on board. You know what I mean? Like it's
I
all
think
about
so.
all of us communicating.
Well, and if
Yeah.
somebody is like a jerk, they're just a jerk. It is what it is. Sometimes you work with jerks.
Totally.
Like, you
I don't
just
know.
show up, you do your job, you do the best you can. But like, I do think, like, I always tell Jared, I'm like, I'll ask anyone for anything.
yeah.
Like, and the worst thing to say is no.
Yep.
And so like, I go to the hotel and I'm like, hey, I got like 3 hotel staff, and I'm like, I need this room cleared. Is that okay? Can we do that? And they're like, okay. And then we clear the room out, and then we bring all the lights in. We had the couple for 10 minutes at that wedding, and it's dope looking. And it's so different than what the photographer did. The photographer took them out in the street and all
Yeah.
stuff. We have this like crazy music video looking stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's good. You should have diversity.
Yeah.
Now, I wouldn't really care if the photographer wanted to tag along.
Yeah.
It wouldn't bother me.
I think
but-
when you get into higher end markets, it's much more boutique and customized to
Create the experience.
You create the experience. What some of the venues that you go to, it's all about the main goal is not creating a product. The main goal is consistency, and the main goal is just doing the same thing over and over again,
Yeah.
not messing with their schedule. And a lot of photographers are going to be the same way at a certain price point, where they're just going to be like, oh, I just want to create this thing.
Yep.
Make it super easy, make it super streamlined, and but when you get into higher markets, I love that idea. I think the whole process deserves
Yeah,
a
I hear
complete
you
makeover.
on where you lose
Yeah.
a little creative control.
Yeah.
I
There's a
understand that.
wedding-
and there's I know where that line is.
Yeah.
And we don't go. Chellise Michael Photography doesn't have any desire to go there.
Oh, yeah,
Because we
okay.
get so much creative freedom.
Yeah.
And it's honored by everybody.
Yes.
And
That's interesting.
It's so nice.
Yeah. Well, when
And
was that a
It does
decision?
have to do with the price point. We used to be more expensive.
Yeah. Okay.
And we started getting the kinds of weddings that we
Yeah.
didn't like, meaning attitude, the way we were treated,
Yep.
we just felt like the help.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't want to feel that way.
Totally.
So we
Off
kind
brand.
of
Yeah.
we learned that it's money.
Yep.
You know what's weird is like with
That's
video.
why we have a team.
Yeah.
With video, it's opposite. Is like the more you get paid, the more creative freedom.
That makes total sense.
Because no one's gonna try to get a wedding film that is
Yeah.
this crazy wedding film unless they really want a wedding film.
And
That is so interesting.
what we're trying to do too is we want to shoot a lot with a couple before the wedding. So I think it kind of gets rid of that help kind of mentality where they're like, oh, we hung out with them. We went on a boat with them. Like we did all
That's
these
actually
things.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Let's camp here and then we'll we're going to ask, what's
Sure.
your favorite thing? So you need to tell us something awesome that you're into right now. So think about that. But before we get into that, this is an awesome thing. Establishing relationships with clients, especially even when you have a team. I can tell you how we do it. I'd love to hear how you do it.
Yeah,
So
totally.
Jared, I want to talk a little bit about how we kind of get our shooters established as the client's buddies.
So we do have a process, I would say. It starts with me talking to the couple, getting them hyped up on us and like our personality as, I guess, a brand. Like, this is who we are. This is how we treat people. We're into you guys. And then we set up a meeting for the shooter to be able to catch up with the couple too and kind of develop their own relationship.
Like
and
after they're booked?
After they're booked.
Gotcha.
Or before they're booked. If I'm like, dude, if you want to catch up with the shooter beforehand, let's get you on the line. Let's do it. Most people for us, I think that there is a little bit of a split between photo and video here, but most people for us are going to be like, whatever. Yeah, we like you. We trust you.
They trust your brand.
Yes.
They got it.
Oh, and we typically would get a
reviews
referral from their planner or their photographer.
Yeah. And so then we hand them off to our shooter, and our shooter's like, hey, I'm Caleb. You know, this is who I am. You know, this is some things that I'm really passionate about. We have them catch up on the phone, and then anytime there's any questions about the day, shooting, talking to the photographer, whatever, it's all through that shooter. So they have a personal plan for...
Absolutely.
And they're the one who talks to the photographer, the
Yep.
planner, everything.
Yep.
Yeah, communication's important.
Yep.
We're the same boat. It's like they have a meeting with them in our studio, face-to-face, before booking. We actually don't book any clients without actually having some sort of face meeting. And then from there, they take on all the communication.
Yep.
And our studio manager is CC'd, and I'm CC'd
Yes.
when they know I should be, like if it's a weird question.
Yes.
But yeah, from there, like it's about them at that point.
You know what's funny? That's what we do, similar. And I talk to other studios, they're like, oh, I don't let my shooters.
Because do they not trust them?
I don't know. I think what we're getting at with both of our brands is like, we want them to be a certain way. We want the deliverable to be a certain way, right? I want it to be volume, but also high end. I don't want it to ever feel like a disposable product, right? And I know it has to be relational to be that. And like, I think if you want to do volume and high end, because high end is not just what you deliver, it's the price you sell it at. It's the people I think high end is actually the people you work next to, more so. Like the planners you work with, the photographers you work with, the vendors you work.
Definitely.
That to me is high end. Like if I'm working in nice hotels or whatever, the place I want to work, whatever it is, that's high end. It's not so much my price, even though that matters, but like sustainable high end is the company you keep. That's about people, relationships. And I think if you want to grow your brand to the point where you're like, you have some you're really a mix of both. You're not charging like $1,500. You're charging a good price, but you're also scaling. You got to trust your shooters.
Well, and put yourselves in their shoes. Like, how would you feel if you just were like, you just show up and shoot?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
you're not
help
going
mentality.
to feel anything. You're not going to really probably care half as much. because
Connect
you
with the
don't
couple, you
have
won't.
a connection. You're just there to do a job.
Yeah.
You're just one of the shooters.
Yep.
Like, there's no ownership to anything.
Yep.
So you have to honor. It's like honoring them.
I can't
Well,
really...
and like when you don't own the day, why are you going to care what that photographer thinks about the brand?
Exactly.
Or just being out of the loop on communication and stuff. It's like, oh, let me check my emails and see what what?
Yeah.
Just like
If you're a couple, you can't really expect them to care about the shooter when the shooter's just showing up on your, apartment or, hotel room, knocking on the door and saying, hey, Jared, I'm gonna shoot your wedding today. How can you not expect them to treat you like the help when you're essentially a waiter who just, shows up, gives you the thing that you asked for?
You are the help.
You are the help at that point. So
yes.
like, I think that's breaking the barriers, just allowing them to catch up. So we try to have at least like 3 or 4 like touch points at least. And then also all the in-between of like, oh, yeah, I was thinking about lighting the dance floor this way. If they're like, hey, I have a question on this. Like,
I have
they're
to
the
give
person.
you, if you're on my team and I want to grow a brand that has a team, I have to give you access to all my people. That's how you create that cohesiveness. Yep. It's not even just so much the work they deliver, because that to me can have the most variation on some level. Like they can have a little bit of a different style, whatever. I don't want a different way of interacting with the people that I've worked really hard to make trust me.
Right.
I want those people to be treated the right way.
And two, when you give the people that you're working with ownership over it, it's actually way less work for you, right? It's like, I don't have to put out every fire. I can't tell you how many times my guys are like, oh, I saw this, we were missing this, certain aspect of the day that they asked for. I was going through emails and they were like, oh, we want to make sure we're covering drone from this perspective or whatever. They're the person that's digging through a lot of that and being like, do we have your back? How are we actually doing that day of? I'm like, oh, I haven't really thought about it because I talked to them 2 years ago about this.
Right.
They can catch a lot of that kind of stuff.
So, important that they're on all the conversations.
So, Chellise, how are you, you kind of talked a little bit about the work and how you get the work. How do you create the culture side at Chellise Michael?
Yeah, so that really comes down to making them feel valuable because they are valuable. Yeah. So it's like, it blows my mind that other people doing this that have like associates don't put them on their website. There's no pictures of them. There's no mention of them.
Yeah.
They don't blog their work. They don't shout them out on Instagram. Everybody wants to feel, people that they're shooting for my company. They're bringing in money for me and my business. I want to shine them as much as I can. So this creates, it makes them feel good.
It's respect, right?
As they should and as I should, because they're doing all this hard work for us and for all these wonderful couples. So that creates value and loyalty. Yep. They're happy. They're like, I actually worked for a photo studio before this, before we started ours for a very short amount of time.
It was a blast, I bet.
What?
Did you have a blast?
I actually had a really good time. It was a really cool studio, but they never, ever blogged our stuff. We had a portfolio up and stuff, but there wasn't any it was just the owners putting
Well, it was kind of like...
and that kind of just makes you feel like you're off to the side. You're not important.
Yeah.
So I'm like, wait, I'm not valued.
Yeah.
Even though I'm bringing in a bunch of bacon.
That's a challenge.
So that is a huge thing that we really, really hone in on is honoring these people really well, our shooters.
I can take a lot of critique over that. That's something that this year I'm like, we have to do a better job. We'll shout out our guys, and I'm always like, guys, I love you guys. You guys are great, but actually showing it to the world, getting them out there on a regular basis on social or whatever, that's something that we can do a lot better.
We actually, I will say
point taken.
There's a difference in our company, and I don't think I would change it, by the way, which is I would never let someone pick their shooter because of availability reasons.
Right.
This is challenging for us. I guess not. We don't typically.
And the work is the same across the board. I think that's a big difference between the two. We want the work to be well, this is a Stop Go Love product, and we want those guys to have input, but that's when we go away on retreat and we're like, we should shoot more drone or we should shoot more Steadicam or whatever.
It's all about trying it out. And I mean, what if you put just bio shots of everybody? I mean, people just
we do it on Instagram.
People want to see humans that they're working with. And oh, that's the guy. Well, you're going to get someone great on our team and blah, blah, blah. And but it's just making them feel valuable too. Yes. And then they're we get together, we hang out, and there's a level of keeping that distance of we're not besties because I've learned from that too of them being too comfortable and so there is a distance of that, but you also want to connect with them and be able to have honest conversations. But every year we do a big holiday party and treat them big and it's you do this and
I think you have to have FaceTime with people.
100%.
It's really what it is because we're working with these guys 3 or 4 days a week minimum. Yeah. Same building.
Yeah.
Walking up. Hey,
you
check this thing out. Yeah.
It's
create that family atmosphere. Let them know it's a team win. We're getting, I think I get more mail in the mail for Caleb from couples than from any of us. Oh, great guy. Loved him. Thank you cards from couples.
Yeah. Everyone's going to want Caleb after this podcast.
I'll tell you what.
My wife calls him Cutie Dimples.
Calls him what?
Cutie Dimples.
He's a cute kid.
He's got dimples.
Certainly, I found people tip our guys way more than they tip you and I because they're like, "Oh, these are the guys that work
you
with
own
us."
it. You don't need it.
They're better looking.
I'm like, "What the heck? You guys are way
awesome.
better than us."
So let's do this. Jared,
Yeah.
what's your favorite thing right now? What are you into?
Ooh.
Today, I'm really into being into New York City. I'm about to go to the Best Made company. But I guess today, what am I into? I don't know. You go
Okay,
first. I
so I'm
haven't thought
into
about
this thing.
That is cool. It's
This
a
is our
motherboard.
Rodecaster.
Yeah.
Super
This thing
cute.
is ridiculous. It's got Class A servo-based preamps,
Yep.
Aphex, which is a great brand. It's got built-in plugins, built-in de-esser, built-in noise gate, 4 channels of recording.
Yep.
Actually, I think 6 actually technically for digital. 4 separate headphone controls, and then I can do this with this button anytime I want.
I don't have my headphones on. What is that? The laugh track? There you go.
Is that like
Fit-
the Super Bowl one?
It's laughing.
Super Bowl clap?
But
Yeah.
all this stuff. But the coolest thing about this, if you're like into podcasting, you can actually link your phone to it and record the phone call for remote podcasts, like we're doing with Binge Haitian a couple weeks and the Hans from Hustle and Flow, and we're gonna plug them in there and like it'll get rid of the echo,
Yep.
so they won't hear themselves, and it'll record it and sound beautiful. And so it solves all these problems. It's like $500, built-in
In theory,
mini HD. Oh, definitely. No, it will solve
this
it.
is the first time we've ever used it.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It was so intuitive. I just set it up right before this podcast, and I'm like, oh, this is what it does.
Yeah.
This is how it works. And I just used it.
So what is it again?
The Rodecaster by Rode. If you're like really want to get into podcasting, or maybe you have a YouTube channel, and I think it's totally worth $500. It's cool.
Cool. Chellise, what about you? What are you into?
You don't have to talk about gear. You can talk about sandwich
You know
if
what?
you want.
What am I into right now?
Scarves. You're big into
But
scarves.
I really am into a camera right now, and
Yeah.
it's just it's the new Polaroid one.
Yeah.
One of my goals this year is to do 100% Polaroid and 35 millimeter wedding,
yeah.
on my just like little point shoot, like a little more janky
Yeah.
style. We've been shooting film for years, like always, and now it's people are being like really like hitting us like big on the film.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I want 100% film. I want like a Polaroid only wedding.
That's
I would just kill it.
awesome. Yeah.
So I've been shooting Fuji for years because it was like the only kind of reliable Polaroid around, it was really consistent. But now that the Polaroids come back out with the little one-step buddy, that film was just so sexy.
I want that Kodak Super 8 so bad. They're never
It's
going to release it.
Pretty.
Oh, the film one. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
never.
It's been in development for like, I feel like they were like, screw this.
I think they got a new
No.
CEO that was like, we need to give back to the film community and video film, especially like, and I don't know. I
You
think
can't
it's
buy
kinda-
a Super 8.
They were-
like,
in
you have to
theory,
get
it
them
was great.
refurbished.
Right.
Yeah.
We do some Super 8.
We're actually shooting our
Shocking.
first full Super 8 wedding next month. Which will be
Yay!
fun. Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited about it. It's going to be a
We've done
good
some
time.
16 mil at weddings.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's so, what's funny about it, shooting a 16 mil camera is it's like, whee!
Yeah, it's so loud. Yeah.
It's not discreet.
No. What about you? You're going to end us out?
I'm going to skip just because
You said New York. Just make that your thing, okay?
Pies.
New York is my thing. It's kind of what I'm thinking about a lot in the last 24 hours. It's just where we can eat.
Yeah, dude. I love New York. If you've never gotten a chance to go to New York, you got to go to New York City.
It's
It's
wonderful.
I think it's the best city in the world. That's my opinion.
Yep.
I'll stand by it. I also think it's the best food in the world. Maybe not
Maybe-
local cuisine.
I would say
but
probably the best mixture of.
No, if
it's
you're
the
going
best
like this,
variety.
Yeah.
I want to eat out. It's the best place in the world to eat out.
Definitely.
It might not have the best restaurant in the world, but you can eat 20 good meals in a row.
Totally.
Just if you just walked in a circle.
Yeah.
So I'm an eater. I love that stuff, and so I love New York City. Thank you so much for being on.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
This is fun.
That was
Yeah.
incredibly awesome, and hopefully you got something out of it. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera. Hopefully you got something out of it. So Chellise, tell everybody where they can find you and all that stuff.
You can find me on the interweb, www.ChelliseMichaelPhotography.com, and handles the same at Chellise Michael Photography.
So are you guys going to do workshop again? You doing anything?
You know what? We do a lot of one-on-one workshops.
Cool.
Which I really prefer because it's way more like catered to that person's needs. And we are going to be doing a online video from you to crew to sell it because I get hit up about that a lot.
Yes.
It's a huge...
It's so interesting.
Yeah, it's just time that I do it because I talk about it too much and just need to make it easier.
Put it out into the world.
Yeah, just something that I don't have to actually spend 4 hours talking about, repeating myself.
So you need to follow her if you're interested in growing a team. And I would say this, photo or video, because I think the concepts work. Check it out. When she releases it, I'm sure she'll tell us about it and we will tell you. And you need to go buy it because it will really impact your business and make a big difference. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Thanks, Elise.
Appreciate it.